This is episode 1 of Project X.
Let's go ahead and bring in Steiner Sports CEO, Brandon Steiner.
One of the country's top memorabilia moguls.
I have an unbelievable guest, Brandon Steiner.
Brandon's second to none.
Hello, welcome. Project X is now launched. So excited. And honestly, this show really just comes from an idea that all of you just pushed all the buttons, and that is entrepreneurship is alive and well and kicking. I just cannot believe the amount of people have reached out to me over the last several months with an idea, and actually some really good ones. And I just felt that we needed a platform to just go over these ideas. You know what really pisses me off is, I watch a show like the Shark Tank, or I watch, all those people are just so brave. I mean, it's so genius, so in some ways naive, but it's what we need. We need entrepreneurship in this country. We need people thinking. And we need to applaud those people that are thinking. We need to applaud and stand up and get behind those people that are thinking, even though they may not be fully buttoned up. They may not have the business plan. They may not have scale. But they may have an idea that makes a difference. And we all know there's been a lot of ideas that didn't look like it had scale at the beginning. And then, it was a really good idea. It made a difference in people's lives. Not everything is scalable from a money standpoint, but it could be scalable in helping people's lives become a little better, become a little richer, become a little more fulfilled. So this show is not just about sports ideas or business ideas. It's any entrepreneurship ideas you have. We've reached out to hundreds of money managers, private equity, serial entrepreneurs, and hopefully they're watching. My goal is to connect those investors and entrepreneurs with people that have ideas. There's no bias. There's nothing that we want to get out of this other than seeing people succeed, give you that little push, not let a bump on the road, put you on the side of the road. Hopefully, if you've got something going and you're thinking about an idea, but you're stuck, no reason to be embarrassed, no reason to be stuck or frustrated. Hopefully, we're going to be able to get to as many calls as we can each time we do the show and really just work through it. Not only tell you what you need to do, but show you what you need to do, give you some direction of how to do it. And I'm hoping that there's some people out there that maybe take a liking to you or your idea. And maybe they'll reach out to you. They'll go to your website. They'll follow you on Facebook or LinkedIn, and then, maybe invest, or maybe just mentor you, or maybe coach you and give you the things that you need. So if you're a college kid out there, great. Love to hear your ideas. And, the highest level of entrepreneurism is, guys, the highest level of entrepreneurism is 55 to 65. So there's a lot of older entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurism is alive and kicking in this country. Somehow in the Shark Tank, they thought that it was like a beat-up session. People come up with ideas, and if it's not scalable, if you're not fully buttoned up, I feel like those people take out their machine guns and they're killing them. And what my problem is, and that's just reality TV, and it's fun. I know the show does very well, and, love Mark Cuban, but, you got to walk away from the show feeling much better about it if you don't have the scalable idea. We want to enrich and push people to be more entrepreneurial. And not necessarily go on business on your own, but even in your own business, you've got employees that need to be entrepreneurial in their own right. You need to be parents to be more entrepreneurial and then parenting their kids. We need our politicians to be more entrepreneurial and understanding the needs and what else and what's next is needed in the communities. So I'm just hoping to push entrepreneurism as best I can. I'm hoping that by bringing some of you on the show, you'll connect with other people. And you won't be alone with your idea, but other people will reach out to you that like your idea or think they can help you with their idea. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the support. Very grateful. And before we get on to some of the calls, which we'll take in a second, we are living in a tough week. Say a prayer for all the people in Vegas, the families, and everybody that's affected. God bless them, and we're all they're all in our thoughts and prayers. And today, something. Let somebody cut you in line. Buy somebody a cup of coffee behind you. Do something, pay something forward, do something nice, and work against the grain of somehow when I watch the evening news, it just doesn't seem to be going that way. So if you're watching the show and you can make a little difference just doing one kind thing today, hopefully, make a little difference in kind of the karma and the spirit of what's going on with everything going on in the world between the floods and, God, it's been a rough couple weeks. But anyway, back to the entrepreneurism. We'll start with a couple of calls. And again, thanks for supporting the show. This show will take a lot of twists and turns. And today's show, I'm just going to do it on my own with a bunch of calls, and I'll walk you through some of the things. By the way, if you have some samples, send them to us. Ben's going to post up the address where you do it. So if you do make a call and we have your item, we'll bring it on the show. We'll show you what it is. We're happy to put the samples up. And at some point, we'll auction them off for charity. There's no benefit to Steiner on this. We're not trying to monetize or make money. We're just trying to help people and connect people. So thank you for the support. But usually during the shows, we'll have guests, entrepreneurs, business people that are pretty prominent, and also some athletes that are entrepreneurs and different guests, just to kind of talk about what's going on and their feedback and sort of that sort of thing. Okay, what have we got on tap, Ben? We got some calls coming in?
So Brandon,
Yep.
We've got a guy named Charles from Syracuse, actually. He's a Syracuse alum. He's got a couple questions about athletes and their philanthropic endeavors. So I figure we can give him a call.
All right, welcome, Charles. You know I'm a little soft spot for Syracuse. Love Syracuse, and the school that gave me that one break. Thank God. I mean, would have loved them to have an entrepreneurship program back then, but they've got a good one now. Anyway, Charles, welcome. You're our first caller. Welcome to the show, and thanks for calling in.
Oh, we got to call him first.
Oh, we got to call him? I thought he was on the line.
Not yet.
Oh, that's right. People are calling in with it. You're Facebooking in your numbers, and then we're going to call you to try to follow up and get as many of you on the air as we can. So if you have a question or an idea, Facebook in on the messaging, your numbers, right, Ben?
Yeah.
And then we'll try to call as many as we can and keep this show kind of moving.
Oh, no.
Great. Charles, I'm sure the phones are working in Syracuse, but you may have put the wrong number in there, buddy. Exciting time in sports, by the way. Got to like that Yankee win. Sorry about Minnesota. That's a young team, but they're going to be really good, by the way. Love that. So much going on. So many things happening in the day of sports and in the day all over the news. Man. All right. We got a phone call. We got a ringing.
Hello.
Charles.
Yes.
How you doing? Brandon Steiner here. How are you on Project X?
Brandon, how are you?
I'm good.
Watching on Facebook right now. Great to reconnect outside of the Mello Center.
What's going on, man? Of course, you know, it's usually when I'm in Syracuse. I'm in the Mello Center, trying to find the game that I seem to have lost about 30 years ago. But anyway, what's going on? What are your thoughts? And you have an entrepreneurial idea?
Well, I want to know how you think athletes can use their foundations and philanthropic endeavors to build their business outside of the sport.
Well, you know, what's amazing is, and it's not as easy as it seems, but I think that a lot of athletes are misunderstanding the power and influence they have. The first thing that I think that athletes should do is thinking about whenever you're trying to make something bigger than what it is you want to figure out who you can partner with and who you really have a true potential alliance with. I think a lot of the athletes sometimes forget that they can partner up with the leagues, the teams they play for, and even their teammates if there's a strategy and those people feel included and they're putting together a game plan. So the first thing I would do is really try to get on page with some of the platforms that are a little bigger than themselves. I think sometimes also the athletes forget that their platforms on social media, if directed properly and used properly, can produce really good results other than just communicating how they felt that day or a comment on something. But you really can use that strategy on their social platforms to help. So, you know, those are two immediate things I recommend. I think also a lot of times just because you have 8 microphones in your face after a game doesn't necessarily mean that fans get the message and understand what is going on with an athlete off the field. I think it's important that the athletes do some updates, just like you would with a business with a quarterly report. It's important that athletes do a semi-annual and a quarterly report to their fans about what's important to them and try to find a media friend that's willing to talk about those things, not just ask them about the trade that got made or the shot that got missed or the home run that got hit, but you know, a media person that's willing to talk about the issues and the things that are important to the athlete, because as much stuff is going on the field for the athlete, there's a ton of stuff going off the field, particularly with the charity endeavors. And usually, you know, media is interested in the stories that are, you know, involved with the fans, involved with the, not the fans, but they're involved with the team and kind of what just recently happened. So I think it's important that I always say, win if you can, lose if you must, if not, always cheat. Don't steal, don't lie, don't break the rules. But, you know, win if you can and lose if you must, if not, always cheat means use every advantage you have. And I think sometimes the athletes have a lot of advantages, but when they're doing the God's work and the good work, You got to use all the leverage and advantages you have available to you, including the media, including corporate sponsors, including the leagues, the teams, the PR, the marketing offices, and let them help you leverage everything they're doing to help you get the message out about the good work and God's work that you're doing. And it takes a little bit of work and strategy. And I think if the athlete if the talent is really serious about it, you sometimes have to have a really good person coordinate all this. But it's well worth it, because when an athlete is in their prime and they are playing a real current professional sport, it's amazing what's available to them. Do you agree, Charles?
I agree. Yeah, I think that especially for athletes when their career on the field is over, if they're able to get in front of the community and in front of their fans, especially younger fans, while they're playing in their communities, that their ability to market themselves after their career will be, 10 times more successful. And I think, right now you're just breaking the industry in the sense that, if you have Mariano Rivera come for a couple hours, the amount of people that show up and want to come make a difference is directly influenced by that. And I think athletes and celebrities really are the ones that can partner with brands. So maybe an athlete doesn't have to say, I'm going to buy 10,000 backpacks and give it to my school. Maybe Staples strategically partners with them and a local nonprofit that works with high potential youth in an area that the player grew up to create a natural program that can
Well, that's true. But a lot of times, the team or the league are working with a Staples, and they can make that connection, and then you're actually helping the company activate their sponsorship, which is spending a lot of money, and they're happy to give you some of the money to help them activate it. So there really is so many different synergies if the athlete's open to do so. But a lot of teams and leagues are afraid to go to the talent, especially when they're having ups and downs, and that's why you need to have a person, if you want to do it on a big scale, that can be that intermediary to do some of the day-to-day grind stuff, so the athlete doesn't get too involved with some of the nitty-gritty stuff and the stuff gets done. Now, we called Mariano on a Thursday and did a food drive on a Friday, and we had over 50,000 people, view that. So we didn't have any sponsors or anything. We were just trying to fill a plane of food and necessary things for the people in Puerto Rico. And I'm hoping that everybody that's listening can maybe shed a little bit of help to those people. But moving aside, in all honesty, we easily could have gotten a sponsor probably just to give. We had that many views, and I think we had about 9 or 10 media people come and cover it, and we did fill up a plane. We did have an amazing amount of people come here to really fill up a 747. But that's all within one day, and we're just Steiner Sports. But imagine if you got a team and a league and you really put together a real strategy. If we had worked on that maybe a week prior to that right away and got everybody behind it, we probably could have filled 3 747s and written a big check with a couple of sponsors getting behind it. But, these things take time, energy, and a lot of times the players, I think, sometimes don't realize the importance of having the right business person next to them, and not just a marketing person that's just calling up to try to find them gigs, but, somebody who's proactive and really helping build a brand. It's kind of a shame, but the days of the brand building with celebrities has kind of gotten minimized. It's a really difficult game to play. There's not a big return on investment in the early stages when you're brand building, and there's a lot of pressure for a marketing person to bring in money to the player. And brand building takes the athlete's time, energy. There's a lot of stuff that gets done before that brand starts to evolve. It's kind of like a seed, and you're watering it, and eventually it turns into a plant, eventually it turns into a tree. But it's a lot of watering, a lot of stuff that goes on. And I think that patience is not one of the high level of best characteristics a lot of times with celebrities. They feel like the clock's ticking and they got to strike while the iron's hot. And I understand that too. But if you're really serious about brand building, you got to put a strategy together, and you got to take your time to do it. And you got to get the best allies together in a room and do things together, because you got a better shot of doing something bigger when you got a bigger platform. And usually the leagues and teams and other players that you're friendly with can give you that bigger platform. Charles, thanks for your call. I appreciate it. I could talk athlete marketing all day. I just, obviously doing this for 30 years and love it. And, I think athletes have a big voice in this world, and their voice is getting bigger every day.
Thank you.
Ben, what else we got going on over there? Anybody else Facebook messaging in for? I would love to hear your ideas. By the way, I've gotten so many amazing ideas that have been sent to me. Almost don't know which one to deal with first. And a lot of you wanted to do calls and meetings, and I think there's a better platform for you to get on and for us to go over those ideas and go over those brainstorms that you have, and then see if not only if I can help you, but then other people that are listening and watching can help you.
So we got a question from Brandon Miller. He's at work, so he can't
Okay.
answer the phone right now.
What's up, Brandon?
It was a question about Google AdWords, which it was sort of a specific question about whether or not you should be active on paying for Google AdWords and do that whole thing. But I think it speaks to a broader question of what's the importance of the web, what's the importance of online, of what how that can transform businesses in today's day, and maybe you could take people through a little bit of where Steiner Sports was a few years ago, not having a website, obviously, with the internet building up, and then today where it is now.
We were early on the web. I had a friend from Brooklyn, Steve Stein, who came to me, and I had no idea what the web was. And this is going back into the 90s. And I trusted Steve because he was always a little bit ahead of the curve. And we built SteinerSports.com early, one of the first companies to have it. I had no idea even how to turn my computer on at that time, but I trusted him to build a website. But the mistake on the keyword search is it's kind of like what I tell people, it's like you go into a bar, you want to make friends, or you maybe want to meet a girl, you want to meet a guy, and then you go sit in the corner. Just because you went, and you say, well, I went to a bar, but I didn't meet anybody. I'm like, yeah, you got to get in the middle of the bar. You got to buy some people some drinks. You got to talk to people. At the end of the day, it's the same thing with the web. It's like, yeah, you can go and buy Google word search, keyword search, but how are your descriptions? What's the natural search look like? Have you described the things correctly? And also, what's the title of the product that you're selling? Is that the right title? And have you done the search to see what the highest search modes are for your type of product and what's more highly searched? So if I was doing motivational blogs, winning is a very highly searched term. So one of the things I want to do in my blog is I want to put the word winning in there a lot. And I may want to put winning in the subject matter because it's a highly searched term. So natural search will take over. And then if I want to go buy some Google AdWords searches for winning, or the name of the blog or the name of the product, yeah, that's another addition and an add-on. A lot of people think that the day begins and ends with the Google search, and it's just not true. It's a part of it, and you do have to buy Google AdWords search, no question. But you've got to do all the other stuff. You've got to make sure your descriptions about what you're writing about your product, or whether you're putting up blogs and that kind of thing, have the right words in those blogs so that they're more highly searched. That's a big help right out of the gate without spending any money. And then you got to make sure you I think that to me, there's only the two most important things in an email or in a product is that, the first thing is that people have to open it. And the second thing is you want people to respond. So if you don't have a great subject line or a great title to your product, you're never getting to point number 2, and you're a failure. I don't care how good your product is, how good the price is. So the subject line is so important in your emails and in your products, and how well they're described. We're constantly battling at Steiner to get our descriptions better because the product's a little complicated, what seems to be obvious to us. And some of our titles are the stupidest things in the world. I don't know what somebody was thinking about. So you've got to go in and objectively and go back over and look at your products and look at some of your blogs or whatever it is you're trying to promote and make sure that they've been described correctly, objectively smart. And then at the same time, the subject matter, that subject line, critical. That subject line is just like when you go in a bar and the first things you say to that girl, you may be done. And by the way, women make a decision, I think, within the first 30 seconds when they meet you, whether they trust you or not. So if you don't think the first couple words you say are important, you're mistaken. And I think it's true with emails. I think women, meeting a woman for the first time, just trying to engage, whether it be in business or socially, and same thing with getting an email to be open, are very similar. The trust is very quick. Whether they're going to click delete or whether they're going to actually stay with that and open it. And you better be on your A game. You don't get a second chance. And, nobody's going to the delete folder and saying, let me go back to my delete folder and open up some of those emails that I thought were bullshit to begin with. I'm like, please. So, but, just because you can send some emails out because you're a website doesn't mean that you are running that website correctly. And you got to go back in and make sure the people that are putting that stuff up are putting it up correctly. What else, man? It's a good question. I mean, and you know, a lot of people get confused or they get frustrated by it, but there are a lot of good companies out there that can help you maximize the natural search, which I highly recommend putting money there, which is, you know, going over descriptions, helping you find keywords to put in descriptions so your natural search engine goes through the roof. Again, I'm not an expert at this, but certainly it's a big part of our business and making sure that we you know, when people look at certain things that we have on our line, that these things come up really high.
This is from William. What was your biggest failure in business and what lesson came from it?
William, this is not going to be a 4-hour show. I can't go through all the failures. So many, so little time. But it's obviously a question I get asked often, which is a little bit of a bummer. Like, hey, Brandon, tell me about your failures. I don't think anybody really love raving about those things. But, I mean, there's so many mistakes you make, you know, especially when you're running a business with over 100 people. You know, there's a lot of mistakes that one can make. You're making a lot of decisions on the fly, and I think the best way to grow and get better is through self-analysis. And you got to realize, even though I'm running a company, that you're going to make mistakes. I'd say probably the biggest mistake, and there's been a bunch, is probably, you know, it's employee, you know, talent acquisition and getting great employees is important. It's invaluable. I mean, you're only as good as your employees, and probably the two biggest mistakes was probably keeping certain employees longer than I should have, not firing their asses a lot earlier. And I have nobody to blame but myself. I mean, I could have fired them. I should have got rid of them. Didn't trust them, but kept them. And then I had some really good employees that I probably should have taken better care of and probably should have realized the value and worked out a couple of the differences that they felt that we had or they felt the need to go somewhere else and take that away and make sure that the circumstances were better for them. I think as a manager, it's always difficult to acquire the best talent and, more importantly, to keep the best talent. And I would say I put some of my biggest mistakes right there. You know, keeping people too long and sort of some of those people not keeping them long enough. I think when you ask any CEO of a company, one of the first things they'll tell you is, man, I wish I would have fired a few of those people. And they'll tell you, secondly, I wish I would have figured out a way to keep a few of those people that were really a big help to me along the way. I think about one story, though, also that's worth it. You know, I remember David Wells had pitched a perfect game. Loved David, and great Yankee pitcher, but we were arguing over $5 on the autograph cost, and I was just like, I don't know if this is going to sell. I don't know if this is going to work. And he was really, really focused on a certain price to match up with some of the other players in the locker room. Andy Pettit. There were some good players around that time that were pitching, along with David Wells. And I just dug my heels in. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And that decision over $5 an autograph at that time almost put Steiner out of business. And I think the lesson I learned there was, you know, it's $5 is not about how much you're paying, but how much can you make. Don't worry sometimes about how much you're paying somebody. You know, if somebody wants a little more, but how much can you make and how well can you do from it? Sometimes people get caught so much about what you're giving somebody instead of worrying about how well you can do. And I think you've seen that a lot in the NBA. You pay those players a lot more, but look how well the NBA owners are doing when they figured out a way to split the pie and split the profits. So I think it's a good lesson to be learned is, you know, don't worry so much about, you know, how much you're going to pay for that, but what's the return on that investment? If it gives you a good return, then it's worth it. If it's not, it's not. If I would have looked at the Wells thing, I mean, I would have realized that I could have made a lot of money off that, made David happy, given him what he wanted, and we all would have been good instead of digging my heels in and worrying about what other people were going to think or this and that. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into these decisions when we're hiring players at Steiner, which makes it complicated. And the business is very complicated, to say the least, because you have a lot of personalities. You want to be sensitive to players and what they're thinking, and they all talk to each other, and you want to make sure you give them the respect because it's not easy to become a professional athlete, let alone a really good one. And they've done some of the things that some of these players that we're trying to sign have done. You want to be respectful. But there's a business component, and you're trying to explain that part of it as well. So I would say there's a whole bunch of mistakes on some of my negotiations that I wish I would get back and do a little differently. And that David Wells one just kind of pops in my head. It was one of those things that almost took me out. So just a stupid little decision like that really was almost very costly.
Just as like a follow-up question to what you were talking about with talent acquisition, do you think like the key to talent acquisition is first finding a culture fit, or do you think it's finding somebody that's right in that position?
I think it's somebody that fits. I think a lot of times people are looking at resumes and they're looking at where they went to school. I'm like looking where somebody lives. I don't want commuting 2 hours to come here to work. I'm not a big fan of that. But also, fitting in, especially here, at Steiner, it's a fit. I've seen some really talented people just not fit. There's a different kind of culture. There's a lot of flexibility that's needed in a company like this. Very rarely you're doing the same job 2 days in a row, and we need people that are going to fit. And it's not, some companies are more difficult than others on the fit part of it. And a lot of good managers will not only, when they hire somebody, make that final call, but they bring them into some of the leaders in the group to see if they feel it's going to fit. I love that. That's a Coach K thing. Krzyzewski would always say, I'm recruiting a kid, but before I recruit him, I introduce him to my wife and my daughters, and I also bring them and introduce them to the team and let them vote on whether they want them or not. And I love that. I mean, that's just so brave. When you have a manager that actually gives up some of the control. I think sometimes when you give up the control, you kind of get it back even in a stronger way. When you give your people some of the strength, it comes back to you in spades, and you have to have the confidence that the people that you're giving that control to are going to make the right decisions. And I think sometimes managers are afraid to do that.
They micromanage?
They're just afraid that they listen. At the end, I always think I could do something better than everybody. I mean, I'd like to go down, ship every box, answer every call. I'd like to do it all, but you have to have confidence and faith in the people you hire to do those things, whether they do them as good, maybe in some cases better. You got to have joy in that, and even if your people are making a mistake, you have to have joy in that because they're learning and growing just like you did. I mean, like I said, the call before, I've made a ton of mistakes. Just so many mistakes, but. The main thing is you got to own up to them. I think as a CEO, as a manager too, it's a crime when you can't look your employees in the face and own up and say, man, I screwed that up. And I'd hope that my employees, I'm a little bit of a difficult boss at times, but I definitely am not hesitant to get in a room full of my staff and say, man, I screwed that up. I can't believe I didn't get that done. I take that as seriously as ever. And I want my employees to be able to come in and say, Brandon, I don't agree with that, and I think you're screwed up. Doesn't mean I'm going to agree with them every time, but I like when they're able to come and do that. And that's another problem that I think in a lot of companies, it's hard to get to your supervisor and tell them they screwed up without getting into a bad confrontation or feeling you're at risk of losing your job. But that's how you get, that's the shit. That's how you get into the real stuff. I think in a company we could really grow when you can really start talking about, what's really going on. And sometimes, listen, an employee will come in and say, I missed something. And when I give them the full backstory of it, of why we missed it, and the risk that was involved and what was going through my head, they understand it because you don't always understand all the facts when you're an employee. It's easy to sit back and criticize your manager and think, why isn't he or she doing this or that? But then you don't always have the facts. You don't always know. So if you have the balls to start having an opinion about this and that, then you should have the balls to go in their office and ask them why they made that decision so that you can see it through their eyes and understand it better, not to confront them and question that they made the wrong decision. So I think that managers need a right to manage, and you should really be careful about questioning your manager's decisions as opposed to trying to understand your manager's decisions better. That's a really important thing for an employee. I think a lot of employees, once you start questioning your manager's right to manage, you're getting into some dangerous space, and managers don't like it. Why am I not playing more? Why am I not in the game now? Why am I not getting a raise? This other employee did get a raise. Once an employee starts coming to me with that kind of crap, they're in a bad place because you're questioning my managerial. If you want to understand my managerial career and you want to try to see it, you're having trouble seeing the way I see it, we could talk about that, at least on most things. But you want to start questioning why another employee gets X and why you get Y, that's a bad place. That's not a good direction. What else, Ben? Any other entrepreneurial ideas, please, message them in. We're going to be doing shows throughout the month, and we'll have some great guests to come in and help you, strategize what next steps there are with your products. You have some samples, send them in. Like and share it. We're trying to create a little bit of it. This is the first time we're doing this, so we're going to work out some of the kinks. But, like and share it. And if you have entrepreneurs or private equity or money managers or people that like to invest, please share this with them. And we want to get them on the program. We want to get them in here live as well. So I look forward to that.
Jesse, what else you got here?
I guess another question a lot of people are asking about when you go back to your experience in the sports world, just starting out, you talk about how it all started with one player. You started with your Mac and $4,000. Like, what do you think starting so like small and humbly helped you long term when you're now growing to such a huge company today?
It's a good question. I mean, it didn't help my hairline here. I mean, because when you're up at night and you're worrying about how you're going to pay your bills. I think a big thing is, there's coming up with a big idea, but a lot of great ideas have failed because of cash flow. And it's something I didn't spend enough time doing. I've taken some classes at Syracuse that talked about case studies with companies that had great ideas but didn't have enough cash to support it. And I got to that point where after I took the second mortgage on my house in 1998 and thought maybe I potentially could lose my house because we were running out of cash. Even though I thought we were at the pinnacle time where the business was about to take off, we were just out of money. And I think that sometimes starting off small could be incredibly advantageous because every dollar becomes important, and you can really micromanage the process and make sure you get things right, and you tend not to waste anything when you have very little. I know when I grew up, we were poor. Every slice of bread mattered. Now, the end, my kids aren't interested in. The bread gets a little stale. They're not interested in. My mother's like, now put that bread in the toaster oven. It's a little hard, but you toast it, it'll be fine. So, it's just perspective. When you have very little, you tend to get a lot more out of very little. However, financing is such a critical aspect of business, and banking and the value of money and how to get money is definitely a big part of growing a business, and you should have a plan for that. So even though you may want to start small, you still always have to have a plan about how you're going to acquire the money and where the money will come from when success happens. I think it's important. I think starting my business with $4,000, I'm grateful to do it. My goal was more about staying in business for 4 years because I felt that was the magic number. You need to be around 4 years with a good story and something that people needed, that people had a reason to call you for it. And if you could stick around 4 years, I'd be able to have enough time to tell enough people about what I was doing. And if I can make a few bucks along the way, great. I think a lot of people start off in business and they just think that they're just going to be making a lot of money out of the gate because they have a good idea. And I was more about building a brand, making sure that I was doing some things that I liked doing that I thought were going to be really helpful to help other businesses grow. I was a real B2B guy. I loved helping other businesses grow. And if I could just break even, make a few dollars. I was fortunate, my wife was doing well. She supported us, and she was behind me on that. So that's important to make sure that you've got the support at home. You don't want to have kids and a family hoping you're going to make all kinds of money, and then you've got that pressure to start doing things you really don't want to do. Brand building takes time. So if you're in for the long haul, you need time, and you need to build time into your business plan and not bullshit investors or bullshit your family that you got this get-rich-quick scheme. And I think it's really important that not only does it take time to brand build, but it takes time to really develop relationships and to follow through the relationships and to really understand the type of clients you want to do business with and understand what their needs are and figure out a way to fulfill those needs. That doesn't happen overnight. So I think time and patience is critical. Brand building is tough. And if you're really serious about your brand, which most people say they are, but they're really not. I meet so many players, they're so serious about their brand, but they're really not. Listen, it's okay. I'm not bashful about it. You want to make a lot of money. I get it. But if you're in for the long haul and you want to make a lot of money, then you got to brand build and you got a relationship build, and there's some gives and takes. And in the sports business, it's hard to find a lot of athletes that are really in it to win it in the big picture. And there's pressure. Careers are short. Certain markets are as much of a give as others, and they feel pressure to kind of try to cash in and cash out as quick as they can. But I think that players that build brands, they do withstand some of the test of time. And we've seen players come that really have had pretty good careers, but they put the time in their community, their brand building relationships, and now they're 10, 20 years past their careers, and they're still making money and still doing well in the market because people love and respect what they stand for. And I think it's true with companies too.
Got it. And another question that we got is, which athlete is the best at brand building that you've sort of had experience with?
Well, Project X. Well, I mean, listen, I don't think you can talk about brand building without mentioning Derek Jeter. I mean, certainly been tremendous brand builder. Had a strategy, put some really good people around him. I was fortunate to be a small little piece of that, but I thought Casey Close did a great job. I thought his parents did a great job. He had key people that he found, he trusted, empowered them, but also was in it for the long haul. Very loyal guy, stayed with a lot of brands. I don't think you can question his Turn 2 Foundation about, the importance of it. As part of the overall game plan, it was real. Had a lot of substance. Maybe one of the better brands I've seen. I've seen Dave Winfield do a great job back in the day with his brand. One of the first to start a foundation. I thought Messier did a great job. Also, somebody who worked at his company through his family, his sister, Mary Kay, Aldo, and phenomenal job, Mark. I mean, probably a little more private than I would have liked. I would have liked that dining room table for Mark to be a little bigger. Mark Messier, one of the great leaders, great players, maybe ever played hockey, but very picky about the brands he associated with, all in on the brands he did associate with. I'm not going to lie, I'm probably not sitting here without him. I mean, he was incredibly important to the Steiner brand and what the value of that brand meant. And I think people understand that anything he touches is something that's important. He's just not dabbling with things just to make some bucks. And his charity endeavors were second to none also. Did a great job with Tomorrow's Children's Fund. Did a great job. There are a bunch. I mean, there are some really, really good celebrities out there that have done really, really good work. I think Peyton Manning's done a nice job with his brand too, by the way. It's not easy to put yourself out there the way he did. And it's a little risky. And he's worked it out. I mean, he's a really, really good pitch man. He's a really good marketing partner. He's believable. So he's done a great job. I mean, just even on the football end, love him and done a really nice job with his brand.
I got a question from Nelson. He's asking about how many athletes Steiner Sports has signed to exclusive deals, kind of over the course of the history of the company, which I think speaks to a good question about how do you get the meeting, how do you get the big contract with the athlete, how do you build that relationship?
It's difficult. I mean, it's again, I think you do whatever it takes just to get your foot in the door. And I think that's the problem. Is like people will come to me, it's like, I can't find the job. Like, no, you can't find a job that's convenient for you, is what you mean. Because last time I checked, Austin's booming, Seattle's booming, Portland's booming. There's places overseas that are booming. You ready to get your ass off on a plane and go move somewhere and work where there's jobs? Or you want to go find a job in the most competitive city on the planet, New York City, where it's expensive as all hell. So you're making choices, and you make choices, you make decisions, and then there are, repercussions to all those decisions you make. So, listen, we've probably done about 25 million autographs at Steiner. We've averaged in the last 20 years or 25 years somewhere between 35 and 65 exclusive athletes. Those relationships start the same way I recommend anybody in business starting a relationship. Do whatever it takes to help the other person. People forget, and I'm sure they'll see me in interviews and different things, and I'm looking pretty good, but I wasn't looking pretty good when I was opening up the fan mail for Lawrence Taylor, Carl Banks, Leonard Marshall, and John Starks, and sitting in office for like 8 hours a day opening up fan mail. But that's what the players need me to do. I responded to the fan mail. Then we started doing some golf and charity tournaments. Then we started working on some marketing stuff, and we built it from there. It's not that easy at the beginning. It's difficult, but if you're committed and want to get into something, you take the job in the mailroom, you wash the dishes, whatever you got to do if you want to get involved with a company or a particular industry that you're excited about. Because there is no shot clock, and I don't know when things turn, but you got to start somewhere. And if you're really committed to it, which would be more than 90% of the people that once you get in the door 90% of the people are not committed in most companies I go to. I don't care what you say, but they're working hard, but committed? If you're fully committed and passionate, you're probably on your way to something. And I think that's how I got started. I mean, I wasn't sure where we were going. I didn't have a clear path. It wasn't like I was getting on the express train. I knew where the next stop was going to be. It was probably more like a sailboat. And the wind was blowing a lot of different ways on every day. And boy, I mean, it was some days where, I was lost at sea. But you got to have fun with that. You got to have a little enjoyment with that. I definitely lost a little hair with that, but so, the relationships are difficult. I was just telling somebody about the Mark Messier relationship. Like, Listen, Mark was not somebody who was doing a lot of marketing. He was very particular. I couldn't get to Mark. But, as my mother always said, if you can't get to someone, get to someone who's really close to that someone. So, I was very fortunate. I became friendly, developed a relationship with a Barry Klarberg and a Phil Hoffman, who at the time was his lawyer. Barry Klarberg was his accountant. And I went in, I pitched them, and I became friends. I spent time with them. And at some point, they went to Mark and really convinced him that said, you should do a deal with Steiner. He seems like a good guy. Seems like a company on the rise. Maybe you should work with them. So I think that sometimes even if you can't get to the right person, maybe you can get to somebody close to the right person. And a lot of times you can start a relationship like that. I'll give you another thing. I would call up a secretary trying to get a meeting with someone and, weeks, I'm calling, can't get anybody, can't get anybody on the phone. I call up the secretary and say, tell me, that decision maker, what's their favorite sport that they play? Anything. They run, tennis, loves tennis. She's a big tennis player. So I find out her shoe size, and I'd go and get the best pair of tennis sneakers. Maybe it's $100. And I'd send a little note with the left sneaker. I'd say, listen, to get off on the right foot in your sports marketing and promotional needs, I got the right sneaker. I'd like to stop by. I'm going to be in your neighborhood next week. And I can't tell you how many people would call me up because, I know she was an avid tennis player, loved the sneaker because I got her the best one, her size. And she was really looking forward to getting another sneaker, and she thought it was creative. So, you got to be a little out of the box. You got to be a little creative sometimes to start a relationship. But to get a relationship really going, you had better start thinking about something you could do to help that person. And a lot of times that thing that you do isn't necessarily going to help you, isn't going to benefit you. It's something you can do to help that person, an idea to help them with their day, with their business, with something they're doing with charity. Do as much as you can for as many people as you can, as often as you can, and expect nothing back. And I think that's a good premise when you're trying to get a relationship and something going in business with someone else. Just try to figure out a way to help them. It's not who you know, what you know, but what you know about who. Learn about who you're trying to develop a relationship with and see what you can do to be a help. Because it's hard to get rid of people, or hard not to engage and hold on to people that are trying to help you. But it's easy to get rid of people that are trying to sell me all day and just trying to sell me some crap so they can make a number. Those are people that are easy to hit delete. No, I'm not taking that call. So, relationships are not easy, and the best business and the best friends and the best things you have going on in life are probably based on the relationships you have. So you got to put a lot of time into learning how to develop these things, and you got to be patient. Take a couple more. Hey, listen, if you got some entrepreneurial ideas, or you know some people that love to invest in entrepreneurial ideas, please make sure you like and share the show and spread the word, because we're going to be getting into a lot of different entrepreneurial ideas, and we've got a bunch of people that have been emailing in over the last couple weeks, which we'll contact and hopefully be able to showcase some of those ideas on the show.
Got a question from another Brandon. He was talking about, when did your business really take off? So I guess if you go back to the early days, what was the sort of big aha moment for you?
Well, I'm still waiting for that aha moment. I still feel like we haven't had our best day, and I still feel like we could do so much more. But, there's a couple. Listen, doing Yankee Steiner was a huge deal. To partner up with the Yankees, they're a great organization, extremely well run, and I underline extremely well run. Besides being the Yankees, they're extremely well run. So that was a big aha moment. Not an easy one. It took us over 2 years. Probably without a Randy Levine orchestrating it and really, really, rabbiing the whole thing and having the vision, because at that time, there wasn't a team that was taking my call. So for the Yankees not only to take that meeting and really go through the grind of what it meant to put a deal like that together was going to be revolutionary in the industry and would change the way collectibles would be with every team, league, and with collectors today. And I just felt like the business needed to get bigger. I felt like the teams and leagues were needed, and why not start with the best brand like the Yankees? And it takes a little luck. I think the Yankees had a lot of other stuff to worry about. I don't think that we were the highest priority, and it wasn't because of money. I think I was lucky to find the Yankees that, where people don't realize, as much as they're committed to putting the best players on the field, they are committed to doing the best experience and the best for their fans. And at the time, there was a bunch of stuff that was going on where, Babe Ruth bats were questionable and Lou Gehrig bats were questionable. And I think they were starting to get a little worried about, what are people going to worry about 20 years from now when, a Posada or Jeter or a Pettit, some of those game used items, were they going to be real? And I think I had a solution to put an authentication process and a system in place with them to maybe keep their fans safe. That was our first priority. That was the Yankees' first priority, which is always the fans, their safety, and protecting the brand. That's a company that understands brand, by the way. Brand first, fans first. They're fan-centric over there. Love that. Another company like that's Notre Dame, by the way, which we soon after did a deal with them. But I think that was a big aha moment. I mean, signing Mark Messier in ’94, the Rangers winning the Cup was a huge thing. It was a big aha moment. Very grateful. Doing the final season, with doing the final season with Derek was a really big deal. But doing the final season with Mariano, a big deal. But also taking down Yankee Stadium was probably an aha moment. We had a dream come true. Hate to see the old stadium go. Grateful to the Yankees to give me the opportunity to partner up with them to do that, and they trusted me to do that. But that was cool. To really take down one of the greatest stadiums of all time, and to really break it up piece by piece the way I saw it. Not just about the money, not this, that, but to get as many Yankee fans something was my vision, like to create hundreds of thousands of items that so many Yankee fans would have something to remember. Not just the stadium, but the stadium was my dream, and I got a lot of support. I got a lot of support from the Yankees to do that, which I'm grateful. And I think Yankee fans know that I was committed to doing that, not just making a lot of money or not just selling the expensive stuff, but I got into the nitty-gritty, which is what that fan base and that stadium deserved. I think my best work, probably one of my most fun projects, and it was definitely an aha moment. Any new entrepreneurial projects on the board there, Ben?
Yeah, I got Monty, who's asking about investment opportunities with Steiner, if there's stock options that they can buy into.
I'm working on it, Monty. I'm working on it, buddy. I'm trying. Right now, though, we're owned by a really, really good company called Omnicom, and they control most of this company for the most part. So I leave everything, what I would suggest is invest in Omnicom stock. Although we're only a small part of it, it's a really good company, and the stock does well, and I'm not here to project anything other than say that they tend to buy best companies, best in category, and they've been guessing right for quite some time. They have some great companies that I'm proud to be a part of, and the stock's done well, and happy to be a part of this situation. It's quite a conglomerate of really, really good quality companies that do great quality work, and often you see a lot of these companies diversified in different ways, come together and really do some good quality work for companies. So can't invest in Steiner, but you can invest in Omnicom.
Going back to what you like around some of the people who are watching who may be young entrepreneurs, be in college or coming out of college, what would be your advice for a first step when they're trying to create their company? Would it be just to try and network, find a mentor, create their own product? What would be a first step that you'd give advice for?
I think, when you're starting a company and you have a product idea, I think you got to play it out. I think you got to write it out and really just, I think the dream big along with the big idea have to work side by side. And I think you got to dream it out. You got to make believe, like, what does it look like when this product that you've created or this idea you have, you hit a home run? What does that look like? And then you work backwards. And you start kind of seeing what's needed. And then at that point, if you think there's something there, something that's going to make a difference, a lot of times a mentor or a coach, somebody who's kind of experienced something in that particular industry or category is a big help. I've had a whole bunch of mentors that have helped me along the way. I'm a big fan of it. Some of those mentors have been younger than me, some have been older than me, but they've all been knowledgeable and bring something to the table. And I think that the first important thing is to be incredibly optimistic and to play it out. A lot of younger kids come to me with ideas and they're not sure how to, put a business plan together. It's not easy. I struggled early on to put my business plans together. But, you go to a graduate school, $250, $500, you can find a graduate student to help you with a business plan. Whether you have the right idea or not, if you're gung-ho, put a few $100s into an idea, at least you can go see how the idea plays out as far as what the investment is necessary, the capital needed, the cash flow that the business would spin off, what kind of sales you would do, who you do the sales with, who the business is targeted to. But to answer the question very precisely, when you have an idea, the most important thing when you come up with that idea is who is that idea for, who is the market, who is the customer, and why do they want to buy that item? or why they don't want to buy that service. And if you get a good answer to that and you feel like you have a good product, you're probably on your way to something. And then you can get back into the big dream, look at the thing in a really wide scope, and then work backwards from it. And then you go get a little help. And the help's there. Like, I think sometimes people, when they watch like a thing like the Shark Tank, like, no, not everybody can put a business plan together. Not everybody can forecast. Nobody knows how to do the bank loans and all that. But what you can do is finish the dream and finish the story and really dig down into what this product looks like, who it's for, why is somebody going to need it and buy it, and do a little bit of that sort of thing, just to get at least a little bit of the structure of what this product is, where it's going, where it could go, and why it should exist. The harder part really is not only coming up with the idea, but it's coming up with the structure and putting it in play. And that's a lot of times where you need the P word, partner. And a lot of times that partner could come in a bank because it's a financial need, or it comes in some other thing that you're just not that good at. And you shouldn't be afraid to have that partner, but you don't want to jump quite in the water so quick. You want to make sure if you're going to have a partner, it's for the right reasons, and that partnership is going to get the roof over your head a little bigger. There's no reason to do a partnership just based on money. You want to do a partnership based on something that's going to increase your productivity, increase your effectiveness. That's a partner. Somebody that's going to make you better because you're together. And I mean that partner in every sense of the word, whether it's a partner in business, partner socially. Your partners should be people that are making you better, giving you something that you can't really do for yourself. And that's the beauty of having a partner. You don't need a whole lot of partners, but if you are going to pick one, it should have those ingredients, I think. I've been able to be very fortunate. I've had some good partners along the way.
Totally, and I think while some people are starting to comment some more stuff entrepreneurially,
Yep.
but some people are asking just your thoughts on the Yankee game yesterday. They knew that you were there. They just want to know what your thoughts were.
I'm happy. I'm happy. I mean, it's a team it's a team that may have to be dealt with. They could cause some problems. They're young and they're scary. When you're young and you got a lot of talent, a lot of things can happen. And they got some momentum. They've been playing playoff baseball for about 6 weeks now. My only hopes is that Cleveland's been playing really, really well, but they had that streak, and they really haven't played meaningful baseball for a few weeks now. That streak ended about 2 weeks ago, and they've been kind of sitting back waiting. And I think momentum in this game is a big deal. And the Yankees have some guys that have a chip on their shoulder, probably have nothing to lose, and I always like the underdog. You never want to be the favorite. You always want to be the underdog because you got nothing to lose, and the favorite has everything to lose and nothing to gain. And to be honest with you, I think Terry Francona is a tremendous manager, and the big question is, will he be able to create an underdog mindset in the Cleveland locker room? Will he be able to fire his guys up and challenge them and get them like a bunch of wild dogs again, like the way they were in August? Because the Yankees are fired up. They're feeling good about themselves. They're playing well. They've definitely played really, really well in September. They've got their big guns playing well, like Judge playing well. They've got a nice bullpen playing well. You got to be careful when you run into hot teams. And hot teams that are the underdog, they have nothing to lose, are very, very dangerous because they have nothing to lose and everything to gain. And favorites that are sitting back, that everybody's expecting them to win, and a lot of people pick Cleveland to win the World Series, in a very dangerous role too, because you have everything to lose and almost nothing to gain until you actually win the World Series. Don't get me wrong, Cleveland's very capable of winning it all. They're really good, really good. But the Yankees have caused some problems, and that's fun. It's a fun part about baseball. It's going to be great playoffs. I think all the playoffs will be pretty good, especially now with football kind of getting a little, I don't know how you all feel, but I feel football's off a little bit. Sunday was a little better finally in week 4, but I don't know, something's just wrong with football. I just think it's starting to add up now. I don't know if it's the spousal abuse, the drugs. Every other day somebody's getting suspended, somebody's got a gun, somebody's smoking marijuana. Then you see the former players, they're all beat up, injuries, dying way younger than they should, suicides. It's starting to start weighing on the American public. I think the league's in a little bit of trouble, and it's starting to weigh in on the ratings. It's starting to weigh in on people. Not only about watching, but also as a parent, you don't want your kid playing that sport. Don't let me get on a rant on that, but baseball playoffs are cool. Baseball's hot, and I hear about the ratings, but when you add up 7 World Series games, or 6 World Series games, you're right there with Super Bowl ratings. Yeah, there's not a World Series game that's going to rank with a Super Bowl game, but if you add up 6 World Series games, yeah, you got Super Bowl numbers. It's real, especially when you got 2 competitive teams. I'm excited about the NBA season, by the way, too, man. I think the NBA season is going to be exciting. I wish there were more good teams, and these guys weren't all kind of piling on a few good. But I think that you'll see some good young teams. There's a lot of talent in the NBA as you get more and more European players. So I think the NBA season is going to be really good, too. What else?
I got a question from Tom. He's asking about why athletes these days get paid so much more than some of their predecessors from older generations. So can you talk a little bit about supply and demand as it pertains to the memorabilia business, but also just supply and demand in general, and how do you price the products that you sell?
That's a good question. I mean, why do a lot of people make a lot of money and then a lot of people don't make a lot of money? I mean, I don't know. I mean, probably teachers and doctors should probably be getting paid the most in this society, and we're moving in the wrong direction with those 2 industries. Where doctors are getting less and teachers certainly aren't getting enough. And then you want to add police and firemen and all kinds of, public servants that should be certainly getting paid a lot when they're risking their lives to keep us safe. And then, somebody hits a button and guesses right on a stock and he's made it for life, or she's made it for life. But, with sports, right now sports are hot. One of the reasons why athletes are getting paid so much is it's very difficult to advertise in the world. And one of the few things you can put advertising dollars in is sporting events and live events like the Academy Awards and those types of events. So, more and more companies are putting money into sports television. More and more people are putting money into sponsorships and signage at stadiums because they know they've got people's eyeballs where, if you advertise on TV for a lot of other stuff, you're not sure if the people at TV aren't, and kids aren't even watching TV anymore. So there's just a lot more money coming towards, leagues are getting paid a lot more money from the TV networks because that's the money, that's the ads they can sell and make good returns on, and the leagues are capitalizing on it. And the licensing stuff has really taken off, so that's now become real money. And I think attendance in a lot of these leagues are up too. So there's real money coming from, the teams have figured out ways to get fans to the ballpark, and not only got money for their tickets, but between the food and all the experiences stuff, the money is rolling. And the owners have figured out other ways to bring money in. You've got a lot smarter and better and bigger business people coming into the leagues and teams that are running them, and hence there's a lot more money to be had, and the players are certainly entitled to part of it, and it adds up to increased revenue. We'll take one more entrepreneurial question.
We I think Dave is going to call in. We're going to try and get him on the
Working
line.
out some kinks in Project X. You'll see this show, obviously evolve. Love the entrepreneurial questions. If you've got a business or a product that you're thinking about, please, email in your phone number. We'll call you. We'll talk about it. We'll see if we can find some investors. We'll see if we'll make that connection. Project X is just getting started. We're finding our way, but I'm hoping we can help some people out and maybe find you that angel investor or give you that little inspiration to take you off the side of the road and put you back on the road with your idea. So we're talking with Dave.
Dave from Philly.
So we're going to call Dave, but his question is, what are some tips you can give to people who want to start a small business of their own? Let's call him now.
Okay. You're starting a business on your own, the fear, that's the key. Can you control the fear? Hey, Dave. How are you, Brandon?
Hi, how you doing?
Brandon Steiner. Thanks for taking the call. How are you?
Pretty good.
So are you in Philadelphia? Is that where you are? Brotherly
yeah,
Love?
more northeast Philadelphia, yep.
How's it going?
How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing? You're excited about your 76ers, aren't you?
Pretty excited. I think they're the only, other than the Eagles, the only other sports team right now that may have a shot to do something.
That's what I love about those Philly fans. No bigger front runners than you guys. But anyway, the Sixers are going to be hot this year, man. They got a team that I'm really excited to go watch. But you had a question, and I'm happy to help you answer. Are you thinking about starting a business?
Yes. I collect autographs and stuff from sports stores. I go to stadiums, collect autographs. A lot of the stuff I keep, but some of the stuff I like to sell and all. But how would you? What kind of tips would you give someone to start a small business?
Well, my first business tip I always give anybody who's starting a business is taking a little bit more money than you're spending. Cash flow is king, and it's really important to have a little bit of money. When you're short on money, it could be dangerous and it could be detrimental. I think, as far as starting, if you want to get into business on the autograph business, I think what's important probably is, and even being in Philly, is trying to find maybe a player that you can kind of partner up with, and get your business started with a player that may take a little bit of an investment, but maybe you want to start with one player and just working on their collection, their autographs, their game used, and really just isolate on that one player and really gain a little credibility in the market. At the same time, maybe gain a little bit of knowledge about how the business really works in a little bit of a bigger and wider way than just an autograph here and an autograph there. And I think it's important. You got to decide how you're going to distribute. Who's your customer going to be as you develop some of these products, and whether you're working with players, a whole myriad of them. Are you going to be a website guy? Are you going to be a reseller on eBay and Amazon? Are you going to be somebody that's going to go to trade shows and card shows and sell your stuff there? I think, who you want your customer to be and what type of business you want to be in, whether you want to be direct to consumer. And I think it's true with a lot of products out there. Who is your customer? Who do you want to sell to? Who do you have the best chance of winning with the type of product you're creating? And that's a question, you have to answer based on the contacts and your business knowledge. Like, do you want to sell to stores or do you want to sell directly to customers? Do you have a particular sport you like that you'd be more entrenched in? Do you want to sell baseball collectibles? The Phillies probably on the beginning of a roll. They seem like they're starting to size up and get their act together. But you'd like to start your business where you kind of get on a roll with a particular sport or team to give you the momentum, and then you can get into other things. So I was grateful, when I started Steiner, not a lot of great things going on, but I kind of worked my way onto the New York Giants. That was my team, and believe it or not, I started with the Mets. I know a lot of people are probably going, oh my God, but I did. That's where my contacts were. The Mets were winning like crazy in the mid-'80s when I started. And I had good relationships with Joe Morris, who I went to school with, Lawrence Taylor, Carl Banks. And that's where the money was. And, you look back in the 86 Giants, there were like 20 guys on that team that were actually stars. So that's where I took my act, and that's where I got things rolling. So I have a big phrase that says, move to the money. What's the best chance over the next 4 or 5 years? What's the team that you want to bet on and maybe get behind, and sport you think is going to be impactful, let's say in Philly, but you want to start off, let's say, regionally with something. And, I would start with those things. And I think financing is important. So, it's important to have a little bit of money to work with. So, depending on your business plan, are you going to need to sign the Philadelphia superstar? Are you going to work with some of the smaller players? You have to decide, a little bit of money that you're going to need, and maybe you find a family friend or investor that put up a little bit of money with you. And, listen, test quick. Test small, fail quick, and dream big. So, you go into a couple of different things, test everything, trial it. I'm a big fan of that in any business, by the way, and certainly not just the autograph business, but, test quick. There's no sense in getting in the deep end of the pool right away. Test it. As much as you think you got a good idea. I will show you a warehouse full of some really good, shitty ideas that I thought were great. I would swear by these ideas. I thought this was going to be, this is going to be the next thing, like going to the moon. That's exactly where that product probably needs to be shipped to, the moon. But at the time, I thought it was good, and what I've learned now is like test quick, dream big, and fail small. Like you don't want to get, nobody's drowning in a puddle, right? So it's okay to try a couple of different things, but find your favorite sport, man. Get behind a sport that you love, and if you're in an industry that you love collecting, that's a good thing, and see where it takes you. The beautiful thing about getting started in this business is you don't need a lot of money, but you do need to make sure your quality of what you do is good. There is no room. There's no 99% in this business. You're 100% authentic. There is no shortcuts, and the quality of your work in this day and age with the autograph business does matter. Hey, thanks for joining, man. Appreciate it, Dave.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Good luck in Philly. Love those Sixers, man. Good luck with them.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Man, they're stocked. The Sixers are stocked. Jeez. I'm like a little bit of a closet 76er fan. I don't like to admit it, but Dr. J, Charles Barkley, come on. I got my Sixer stuff. I play my Sixer stuff because I get away with that in New York. You can't stop putting Celtic stuff on. They'll kill me in my gym. You can throw some Sixer stuff on. It's kind of like red, white, and blue. It's got the the American kind of look. Love my Sixer stuff, man. You know Scott O'Neil, the president of the Sixers. Love him, former Garden guy. Want to see him do well. And they got some players, man. Look out for the Sixers. They're gonna be a problem. They're gonna be a headache. Love them. Can't wait. I'm actually looking forward to going to see them play. I'm looking forward to seeing the Knicks play. Even though they had their problems, but they're gonna be young, athletic. When you're young, athletic, you're an underdog, and you get a little goofy. No pressure. They'll be a pain in the ass this year too. They're gonna be tough. I love teams. I like when teams commit to youth. I think we've seen it. I'm surprised more teams don't commit to it. There's nothing like youth development, watching kids grow. Everybody loves a toddler, right? We don't love teenagers, and we hate underachieving adults. So you're better off going with youth. I mean, who doesn't love a baby? Who doesn't want to pick that baby up, give him a hug? Oh, you're so cute. It's the same thing with players. They're like little babies, right? Who doesn't love a baby just coming up? Oh, look at him. He's a rookie. He made a mistake. You love it. When you're grown up and you're underachieving, oh boy, not in this town, not in any big, not in this world, not in this country. Making a lot of money, underachieving is a formula for disaster. To me, if you don't have a formula to go pick up the stars, get young. Go grab those kids. Let the youth, let it play, let them run. See what happens. I think people enjoy watching kids grow up in front of them if you don't feel you have a championship team to win. I'm a fan of that, but that's my 2 cents on that. Any other entrepreneurial ideas, Ben?
I got one from JC. He said, if Steiner Sports never happened, what job would you be applying the skills that you have to today? What would you have done instead?
That's a good question. I mean, I always felt like whatever I was going to get into, I felt like I'd do well. Finding something that I was really interested in was always the challenge, and always, I think, the challenge for so many. But I was in the restaurant business. I had a great run. I probably would have kept going. My big concern with the restaurant and hotel business is, the amount of consumption of your time and how it could really drain you. I didn't think I was going to be able to put a family life together along with it. But I had a good time in the kitchen. I was a good baker, good cook. Love the restaurant business, the family aspect of it. There's a lot of camaraderie in a restaurant or in the hotel business where, a lot of teamwork. I enjoyed that industry. I think it's a great industry. It's one of the few industries that has not been computerized to the point you still need people to cook the food, buy the food, serve the food, wash the dishes. They haven't been able to get rid of those people. I mean, we all know that, we're not going to have any more taxi cab drivers. We're not going to have any more meter maids. I mean, there's a lot of people going to be getting whacked in the next 10 years, but you're not whacking any of those restaurant business people. And when I was a young kid, I had a mentor that said, Brandon, you get in that restaurant business, you always have a job. People are always going to have to eat, and it's going to be very hard to replace the cooks, dishwashers, busboys, and waiters. You always have an opportunity to make a living. So that was really the industry I was pretty consumed with up to the age of about 28. Love that industry. Don't love it enough to ever go back to it. I still go out on a Saturday night and say, thank you, God. Thank you that I can go out on a Saturday night and have to work. Because, you're working on a Saturday night. You're working on a holiday. And it could be kind of a little depressing. And I have a lot of respect for the people in that industry. They're working their tails off. They're on their feet. And the people that do it well, which there are some people that do it well, good for you. I always love my seminars, and I miss doing those speeches called Tips on Tips, which I would guarantee. I don't know if you realize this. I went around the tri-state area. I did a seminar called Tips on Tips, and would guarantee an increase of sales in that restaurant of 20%, and that waiters and servers their tips would increase by a third. If not, you didn't have to pay me. And nobody ever asked me for their money back. I love the business, probably because I love serving people. I enjoy serving people. I love doing things for people. And I think waiters get an opportunity to take, people that have been pretty stressed and under all kinds of stuff all week, and they get to kind of hang out for a couple hours and have a meal and some drinks, and you get them to forget about all their problems. And it is a blessing when you get to do that. And as a restaurant owner or a manager, you get to go create an atmosphere where people can forget about their troubles. And the ones that do it well, it's a good thing. It's a fun thing. It's an important thing. That's the business I probably would have been in. At least I could say that for now. Certainly was going to be an accountant. That accounting degree ended I think on graduation day in 1981. Man, that wasn't easy getting that degree, but there's no intention of becoming an accountant, that's for sure. Nothing against the accountants. Useful. Love accountants. I'm glad I got that degree. I didn't have the grind, the ability to stay there and work through those numbers and all the stuff that accountants are able to do. One more, Ben.
Jesse, you have any more there?
Any others?
Yeah, I could pull some other ones in.
Hopefully this was helpful. I mean, we can't wait. We just want to get the show started, but, we'll be back. We got some guests lined up over the next few weeks that are going to be really insightful, and we'll get underneath their stories and what their views of entrepreneurship are. And then if you've got products and you've got ideas or services or apps or things you want to put into play, please, email in and phone in, and we'll get to you. And these shows will happen all during the course of the week. Up here at Steiner, we always have athletes and really interesting people coming up, and I wanted to put them in play and share them with you guys so you get an opportunity to talk with them, whether it be a Magic Johnson or, I think it was Peter Shankman or Jeff Gittimer or Harvey McKay or there's just so many different people that come up here for all different reasons, and I think there's a good platform to share all that. So thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that, and hopefully you'll keep tuning in and seeing all the different guests and these different ideas we have. If we have time for one more question or call, and then we'll move on, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next few days with more Project X as we evolve and develop this show.
Yeah, and if anyone wanted to call in, you could just put your phone number, your name, and your question in the comments on Facebook or whatever you're watching it on. That would be great, and we can give you a call. But
now, Jesse's like a crack assistant intern, but Jesse's taught me 2 words. There's always 2 things: like and share, right?
Yeah,
that's like the new like and share, man. I go home, if I get my kids on the phone, I'm like, listen, can you like and share? Dad, I'm not Facebooking with you. I can't Facebook with my kids.
Why don't we tell them what happened at the Yankee game yesterday? Everyone that came up, you asked them if you're connected with them on social media.
Nobody's calling me. We gotta be connected. So I'm like, get on my Twitter, get on that, right? All day we're on Twitter, right? All day we're on Instagram. We're having fun. We reach out to people all the time, and it's just a ball. And then we love giving away stuff. So if you're on my Instagram and Twitter, you know that we're always giving away prizes and giving away a chance to meet players and tickets and everything. We love that, and we're going to continue to do that. And hopefully the main thing on this show is we're going to connect you with investors and get you, not let a bump on the road, get you on the side of the road. We're going to hook you up with people that can mentor you and maybe help you make your dream and that one project that you have in your mind. We're going to make it come true. We'll take one more question and we'll wrap it up for the day. Really blessed, and thank you all for joining. And we'll answer questions later on and throughout the week if you email in, and then we'll come back to this show over the next few days. And we'll be doing these a couple times a week, so keep an eye out for the alerts.
So last question of the day is, what advice would you give to a kid or somebody in high school or college who has entrepreneurial tendencies but doesn't really have a product or anything focused yet? What would you say to do? Go get work experience, or what would you have them go for?
I'm a big fan of getting work experience, and I think there's so much hype about the internship and working for big companies. Man, waiting tables is real. It's experience. Washing dishes, whatever it is. I think getting out in the workplace and working with people that are making money and trying to get a business to run on any level, whether is experience. And that's, to me, like people always said, Brandon, did you fail in school? I said, no. School failed me. They didn't know what to do with me. And I think we still don't know what to do with all these young entrepreneurs. But entrepreneurship's here to stay. Entrepreneurship is the new celebrity. Entrepreneurship is, I've never seen it so strong in high schools and colleges as I do today, which is hence why I'm doing the show. I think there's just more curiosity and more people that want to make a difference and do something different than I've ever seen. And I haven't been this pro and positive in a long time, but I just see high school kids coming to me with so much more intelligent thoughts and processes. I can't believe they thought of it. So if you're young, yeah, definitely go learn on someone else's expense, and at the same time use that energy to help that person, whatever it may be. If it's learning art, if it's working in a museum, whatever it is, working with antiques, whatever your passion and your real commitment and interest is. And I think if you're a parent out there, hey, it's okay if your kid's not getting A's. What's important is that your kid is doing their best and working hard. Some kids are meant to get A's and some kids aren't. But I'm going to tell you something. I've seen a lot of A students have a hard time bending over and picking up a piece of paper when they get out of school. A lot of people can figure out school, but can you do it when it counts? Can you come up with ideas and flourish in the work environment when things are changing and you don't have such a regimented, read this chapter, then take a test? To me, in my class, I would give all the answers on day one. Here's your midterm answers. Here's your final answers. Here's all your exam answers. Here you go. You got them all. Now let's talk about how we got to those answers, which is really what's important. And screw the grades. Follow your dreams. Get involved with what you're interested in, regardless of what your age is. I've been working since I'm 10. I don't regret one day of all the crazy shit that I did. Warehouses, washing dishes, delivering newspapers, working in a bagel store, whatever it took, working in a catering hall. Doesn't matter. I remember I went to work in a catering hall. Italian. I'm Jewish. I went to work. The guy thought I was Italian, and I wasn't. And he got a little pissed. He sent me up to the third floor to cut up melons for the 3 weddings that were going on. I went back down and I asked him where the help was. He says, no, you cut the melons up. It was 9 a.m. There were hundreds and hundreds of melons that had DC cut up and plate. I'm like, you know something? I'm not letting this guy put me on the side of the road. I cut those melons up in record pace. Nobody cut melons up faster. I created the game within the game. And that experience was when I went down to that kitchen about 4 hours later, which was probably an 8 or 9 hour job. I said, what else you got for me? He goes, bye. He sent the waiter up. Yeah, they're all plated. They're all done. What else you got? I don't know where that lesson falls into place, but you know something? Don't take any shit from anybody. Okay? Somebody gives you a job, go get it done. Get it done better, get it done faster, and be surprised. You do good work and you work hard. People notice. For me, that's what I tell young kids. Like, hey, you want to work? Go work. Go get some experience. But, listen, work things through your parents. Make sure that you understand what you're trying to do. Make sure you cover the responsibilities of doing well in school. Maybe you're going to be the best student, I don't know, but make sure you're doing all the things you're supposed to do because that is your responsibility. And I think school is really important. I see a lot of kids thinking about maybe not going to school. That's not me. I'm not on that page. And I could have easily not gone to college. I'm a huge fan of education and particularly of higher education in college if you can swing the money. So, you can do a lot of things and learn a lot of things in college besides taking some classes and getting some grades. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on in college that can help you later on in your career, especially from an entrepreneur standpoint. But I'd say the message to all the people that are running these schools, hey, let's start embracing some of the entrepreneurism in a really authentic way and making sure we make entrepreneurism a college-wide thing, not something that exists in the business school. Entrepreneurism should be in every classroom, in every building on campus, from history, architecture, pre-med, pre-law. There's great entrepreneurs in all those fields, journalism, everything. And I'm hoping chancellors and presidents embrace that because entrepreneurism is the new celebrity. It's hot, and our kids are looking to make a difference. They're looking to make this world better. They're not going to stand for the status quo. And I'm very, very excited about the kids I'm seeing in high school and college. I'm hoping that we can give them the opportunity to go follow those dreams and really fix this planet and fix this country, which we need it. We need those kids to grow up into something special. Thanks for joining us. Project X, like and share. You need a copy of the book? You'll pick that up on steinersports.com. Until the next time, it's Brandon Steiner on Project X. We're just living and loving entrepreneurism. Hope to hear from you again soon. We'll see you.